Ron Zellmer again. We're going to talk about legacy trees. Now, this is not a legacy tree, but I want to show you this is why Legacy Trees was brought to life with my company. So here's the storm damage to talk about. So we talk about the stewardship pruning after planting. This branch that split out, this trunk, should have been taken out when it was as big as my thumb within 5 years of planting this tree. You see the other cluster of leaves and branches coming out of here. That's what we address with Legacy Trees. Those are juvenile branches that never would have remained on in the forest. So this is a perfect example, and every person that will see this video will know of storm damage either at their property or on adjoining properties, and it's all about the lack of pruning during that juvenile growth phase. Juvenile growth, the wood quality of juvenile wood, it has 1% shrink swell ratio versus 1/1000th of a percent with mature wood. That is the cracked drywall in your house. The juvenile tree is only trying to survive the forest before it becomes in the mature growth phase. So, a couple other things. Tree roots that just bubble out of the ground like lava. That's not how it's supposed to be. Here's a big adventitious root that grew out of the trunk tissue because this tree was planted too deep. Dr. Seuss knew what trees looked like. Open his books, they have a flare. They have the spokes of the wheel. There should be 3 to 12 spokes of the wheel coming from the base of this tree. This adventitious root had to grow out of the trunk tissue to try to keep this tree alive. It's a riparian, so it's ashes from the river bottoms. River bottom trees are programmed for grade changes with flooding. Soil was added or taken away during flood periods, so they have the ability genetically to throw extra roots out of the trunk to try to survive. But these roots coming out of the ground, that is not how it's supposed to be. They're growing up to the oxygen. Roots have to have oxygen, and they want the most oxygen, so they grow up out of the ground. But this is a great example of so many things we're talking about with Legacy Trees. The stewardship after planting, putting it in the right place. Absolutely critical to have proper planting. Our system is a 9-inch thick root system, 30 inches square. We don't give the tree an opportunity to have girdling roots or to have to suffer from improper planting and being planted too deep. I could do this all day. I could walk through every neighborhood in the United States and in most of the countries of the world and see this. Okay, once again, this is stewardship pruning. This never should have had the opportunity to do this. Rarely in the forest do we form trees with big V crotches that can split out. Okay, the forest self-prunes because of shading and competition. We do have a few trees that are more prairie species. The Siouxland poplar, the male cottonwood, is open grown, but it has the ability to self-prune in the full sun. Bur oak is another one. But these trees in the forest don't do this. This is, once again, when one side of this was as big as my thumb, the arborist could have corrected it. Subordinated it, 2 years later take it off completely, and maintain that central leader, not forever. We're not growing telephone poles. But once the tree is shifting into mature growth, up beyond this juvenile tree that was planted at your property, it starts to do better construction of the tree because it's changing chemically and physically inside. We can prevent this.